Once inside the vehicle, coming through your habitation door, you can see that you've got your control panel, which is just above. Using the power button here, click that on, and that will turn on the control panel. As you can see, at the moment we're not plugged in or anything, so it is just reading the leisure battery is poor. But again, this is where it's going to show you all your levels. So, moving through the flick arrows here, you can flick through the options. Your vehicle battery currently is very good. You then got your freshwater tank, which is 0% full because you've nothing in it. Your wastewater tank level, your battery current, your solar current, the external temperature, and then you have got the option of turning your tank heaters on, which is for your external and freshwater tanks on the outside of the van. You can set the clock as well, along with an alarm, and then set things like events and stuff like that for the timers. Now, going through to the side of the panel here, you've got a couple of buttons. As I say, you've got your main button here, which is your power button. Next, you've then got a battery button here. If you click that, that will change the option from powering everything from the vehicle to the leisure battery. Now, as you can see, because the leisure battery is quite poor at the moment because we've not got it plugged in, it's not really powering anything up. But if I was to click this button here, this will allow all the lights to run off your vehicle battery. Now, personally, I would always recommend you never touch that and always leave it on leisure, because the problem you've got is if you was to run this off the vehicle battery, obviously you could drain it all of its temperature, all of its voltage, and then you just will be stuck. So you'll have to get someone to jump start you, which you don't want. So keep it on leisure, because the worst case scenario is you're gonna not have any lights. So keep it on leisure. Down here, you've then got an aux button. In essence, what that aux means is if you've got anything USB, anything 12 volt rather, like USBs in the vehicle, you can use them without the need of 230 volt being on. And then up here, you've got a little tap which indicates your pump. Turn that on and that will activate your pump and begin pulling water through the system. Now, this is where we come on to the point of priming your system. So when you're on site and you've got water in the vehicle, you need to obviously always make sure you've got water in the van, just to ensure you're not burning the pump out. But to ensure that, click that button and then go to all of your taps, including your shower. Turn them on and turn them to hot. What that's going to do, it's going to pull water from the freshwater tank into the boiler and then out of the tap. It'll spurt and splutter, and then when it's running steadily, you have primed your system for the fresh water, for the hot water rather. Once you've done that, flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. Do that on all your taps, including your shower. And the reason I always tell customers to do it on the hot first is you've got a boiler which will hold 10 litres approximately of water. Now, once you've turned your heating system on, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, it's going to take a good 30 minutes or so to heat that water up, because it's not instant. So if you turn your heating on once you've primed it on the hot water, because there's going to be water already in that boiler, it's going to allow it to get hot. So by the time you've set everything up in the motorhome and you want hot water, it's going to be nice and warm for you. But once you've done that, you've primed your system. On each of your taps, you've got a micro switch, so you will only need to turn the pump off. You won't need to turn the pump off, rather. It will only activate the pump when you turn on and off the taps. You only need to make sure that the pump is off when obviously setting off, travelling, and you've got no water in the van, because you don't, as I say, want to burn out the pump. Now, coming back over, you can see that you've got your heating system here, along with a couple lights here. This will do your porch light, which is dead simple and easy. So with the lights on and your control panel on, this is a Truman Heater. It's dead easy. All you need to do, click the button, and everything below the line is what you want to select. Firstly, you've got your vehicle temperature. Click that and you can take this all the way to 30 degrees if you wanted to. Using the dial, you turn this to select through the options and click in to select. You then got your water temperature. You can switch this eco or hot or boost. Eco is approximately 40 degrees and hot is approximately 70 degrees. Hot, you're going to be running that when you are washing up your pots and pans, and eco, you'll be using that when you're having a shower and things. Boost is just a concentration of heating that system, so instead of heating the temperature of the vehicle itself and the space heater, it will concentrate on solely heating the water. So depending on which one you want to obviously prioritise. You've then got your fuel button. So your fuel's really important. You need to make sure that you select a fuel that you've got. You can run your heating off gas. Gas, mix 1, which is a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt electric. Mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt electric. EL1, which is just 1 kilowatt electric, and EL2, which is just 2 kilowatt electric. So when you're on site, more often than not, you're going to be running it off EL2. Some situations may only allow you to run off EL1, which is 1 kilowatt electric. Certain sites in France where you've not got that much power. If that is the case, I'd personally stick it on gas or mix 1 just to get it up to temperature. And then gas is obviously the obvious one. You're only going to be using it off the gas when you are wild camping. Coming back, you've then got your option of the fan. Click the fan. At the moment, because I've not got anything selected, it's only giving me the option of vents, which will just recirculate the air which is in the vehicle. But if I was to select a temperature, it does give me the option of eco, high or boost, depending on the power of the fan and the intensity. Again, boost is the exact same as the water, just works vice versa. Coming back down, you've then got a little timer button here, so you can set a timer for when you want the heating to set in. You've then got a clock, so you can change the time. And then finally, you have a little spanner in the bottom here, which gives you your settings. The main thing you need to know in here is your reset button. The reason you need a reset is, for example, if you ever get an error code. Now you'll get an error code, for example, if you select a fuel that you've not got. So let's say you're wild camping and you've not got any access to 230 volt, and you try and run the heating off a 230 volt EL2 connection. What that will do is, because you've no fuel, it'll try and heat the vehicle using something that it's not got, and it'll in essence shut down, or you'll get an error code rather, because it's just telling you and warning you that it's not got that fuel. It's protecting the system. Now once you get that, you need to reset your system. So click this, go into the settings, go all the way to reset, click that reset button, and that will reset the entire thing. Once you've done that, it will flicker the screen and initialize, and then it'll come back on. Once it's done that, you need to wait 20 minutes, and then you're good to go. Now to turn this off, all you need to do is hold this button in, and that will turn off like so. Coming away from the control panel, you can see that you've got storage all along here, which is a really good bit of storage, and in each of your benches you have got storage as well. If you do want to, this area does turn into a bed, so all you need to do is pull out this slat below here, and that will release the mechanism for the bed. They join together in the middle, and then using these cushions, this can create a big double bed for 2. Up here you have also got a bit more storage in here, but primarily in here you've got the point for your aerial, which is just there. Now to use the aerial, all you need to do is unscrew this white cap and push the aerial arm up. Once you've done that, tighten it up with the cap, and then you can begin using your aerial. Coming over to your box, once this has all been set up, you can click a little button on the top, and this light will go green just to indicate that the aerial is on and operational. Once you've done that, your aerial will begin to work and you can watch the telly and things like that. Now, for example, if you are struggling with the signal, you can of course twist this pole to turn the head of the aerial, or using the little arm, you can alter this and move it around like so, just to tilt the head of the aerial to improve the signal. Coming into the other locker, you can see that located in here is the Sergeant unit. This houses all your fuses and also your trip box for if the vehicle ever trips, so it's dead easy and accessible. In terms of these systems up here, this just gives you the options of the space heater and water heater, so you can activate them on here and activate the charge as well. In my opinion, I'd leave all this. The only thing I'd probably touch in here is obviously your fuses and your trip box if you need them, and also a system shutdown, which you can select if you're ever not using the van. So for example, if you're not using the vehicle and you know it's going to be at least a few months until you're going to be using it again, you can click the system shutdown just to maintain the battery and things. But this system here I wouldn't touch. I'd personally just use the control panel there, which is a lot more user friendly, and that's what it's intended to be. But as I say, fuses are here just if you need to replace them, and the trip box is just there. Now moving on, into the kitchen area. You can see that you've got a full oven and grill here, along with plenty of worktop space, and we've discussed obviously about priming your system. In here you have a bit of storage, as you can see, along with a bit more storage as well, just a bit above the oven and grill and the hob. Coming to the back, you've got your Thetford fridge. Your Thetford fridge is a 3-way fridge, and it's dead easy to use. So once on, click the little button here, and this will allow the system to come on. Using this button here, you can flick through the options of what you want to power it on. You can run it off the gas, you can run it off 230 mains electric, and you can run it off your little leisure battery, which is your 12 volt system. On this side, you've then got the option of your temperature, so you can flick through the options there. And to turn it off, all you need to do is hold that button, and that will turn the fridge off. Now, one important thing with the fridge is if you're wanting cold things to be in the fridge, put cold things in, and if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in. It does a very good job at maintaining the temperature, but not the best of jobs at getting it down to temperature, so do bear that in mind. Now, this particular fridge, as I say, is by Thetford, and this is a 3-way system. The reason it's a 3-way system is, as I mentioned, there's 3 ways to power it. You can run it off your 12 volt leisure battery, your mains electric, and your gas, which I've shown you on here. If you're running it off gas, you're going to be wild camping. So if you're wild camping, you'll run it off the gas and not the 12 volt. A lot of people think that they can run the fridge off the leisure battery when stationary and wild camping. However, that is not the case. The reason being is if you could do that, it would the fridge would drain all of its power, and you just wouldn't be able to use any of your leisure battery because it's just too power intensive. So because of that, it'll only allow you to run the fridge off gas. You've then got the option of 230 volts, so when you're on your campsite, you're going to be running it off that 230 volt. And the only time you run it off your leisure battery, and the only time it'll allow you to run it off your leisure battery, is when you're travelling. Because in this vehicle, you've got a built-in alternator, which will in essence send power directly to your leisure battery, which will send power to your fridge and feed that. So whenever you're moving and on the go, you can use it off the 12 volt. And then when you're stationary, it's either the 230 volt or gas, depending on whether you're on site or you're wild camping. Now, opposite the fridge, you've got your toilet. Your toilet is just here, and this is your cassette. And we've talked about, obviously, priming your system for your shower. It works the exact same, and your sink. Now, your toilet, as I mentioned on the outside, something that you've got in here is called the blade. The blade on the toilet is this piece of plastic here, and it allows the cassette to be open or closed. At the moment, it is closed. Pull that across, and that will now open the cassette. So when in use, open it up, so all the waste can drop into the cassette. Once you've done that, click that blue button there or hold it in place to activate the flush. That will then flush the system. Once you've done that, close the blade. Now, you close the blade for 2 reasons. The main reason being is it does stop the odours from escaping, but it also stops you or gets you in the habit of having that closed. So when you come to remove the cassette, you don't run into that issue that I mentioned earlier where you can't remove it, and it becomes obviously a little bit tricky and stuck. So it gets you in the habit of doing that. Now, coming back up to your flush, one thing to mention is you do need your pump on for that to operate, so bear that in mind. And also, when this is full, you will get a red light indicating on here. I think that little symbol does light up red, just to indicate that it needs emptying. Once that comes on, please do empty it. Now, finally, in the rear of the vehicle, you've got your bed, along with a table that's just in there. You have got some as well in here. Access to the garage area, which is dead simple and easy to get. Before concluding on this video, you have also got your fly screens and blinds. Fly screen is on the downward, and on the upward mechanism it's the blind. To open up your windows, open up these latches like so and push out, and then using the black knobs on either side you can connect them into place and get them remaining out when you're stationary. Now, please make sure that when you're travelling, all these are closed, including your roof lights. You have got the option of putting them on venting if you wanted, just to allow a little bit of airflow within the van. However, when travelling, as I say, make sure these are closed, because you don't want any wind getting underneath here and ripping off the skylight, because that often does happen, and the side windows. So shut that up, and it's all sealed correctly. So that concludes the handover video on the Autotrail Apache. I hope you enjoyed.